So I have to make one of these videos because I feel like there's been a lot of false claims going around the Division community saying that this game's dead and it will not be revived. So I want to give my opinions on the Division, why it's kind of at a dry spot right now, and talk about the future of this game, what it might look like. Now, don't forget, this is coming from the same person who talked very in-depth about the possibility of 1.4 being extremely good for the Division. When 1.3 came out, there were a lot of issues, and they just continuously kept pumping out content. And one of the biggest things that I complained about is that, well, they need to kind of slow down a little bit and work on fixing the game rather than, continually bringing us more content. If you remember, the amount of content that was getting released in this game when it first came out was unreal. We had 1.1, which was 1 month after release. And don't forget, that was after two little updates, 1.0.1 and 1.0.2. So essentially, we had two updates after the game came out. Then we had a major patch 1 month after. Then we had another major patch the next month. And then 1.3 came out like a month and a half after that. We had 3 huge content drops in like 4 months, right? And the problem was that at that time, it was better to just fix the game rather than add the content because the game had a lot of bugs and problems. Now we're seeing like the opposite, right? Now that the game is mostly fixed, I mean, I know there was a couple really annoying bugs in 1.6, but like the invisible bug, that was there since the game started. I think it just took people a very long time to figure it out because it's one of those glitches that you really don't know you're doing it unless someone else tells you that you're doing it. And the second you hit a wall or, do anything like that, it's going to knock you out of the glitch. So it doesn't surprise me that it took people an entire year to find that glitch. So that's not a 1.6 problem. But if you look overall, 1.6, at least in my opinion and a lot of others, it's the most balanced that the game has ever been. There's no real huge meta. Every single weapon type is viable in its own way. I'm seeing tons of people using different gear sets, and I think overall when it comes to PvP and PvE, there's a lot of different ways to play the game. Now that was never the case. Armor was also like always a must-have. There was always a meta like Alpha Bridge and Sentry's Call, and the list goes on and on and on and on. We had, what was it in 1.3? I'm trying to remember what the meta was in 1.3. There was a pretty big one. I think it was the shotgun meta on console. Most of you guys know, but there's always been like a dominant weapon type and a dominant gear set to use. Now just think about for a second the amount of problems that this game had after launch. Now, obviously, it had a lot of problems before launch as well because it got delayed like 3 times, I think. It was initially supposed to release in 2014, then it got moved to 2015, and then it got moved to 2016. So it essentially got delayed almost 2 years. That is a very, very long time to delay a game. And I think we can all agree with the amount of stuff that was in this game when it comes to problems. The fact that we got as much content as we did is kind of mind-blowing. It blows my mind that we even got as much as we did with all the issues this game had. Now that you're seeing like a lot of these problems fixed, the time to kill seems to be pretty good. They just did a small medkit buff today in the weekly maintenance, which doesn't seem like a huge difference. It doesn't seem to be like super like insanely big, but it does feel like the med kits help you out a lot more now. I think they could even buff them a tiny bit more, but we'll have to wait and see how refreshed is with critical save. It might be really strong, so they should definitely hold off on that. But now that they have time to actually spend on making content, I think that year 2 content is gonna be very, very good. When you get the problems ironed out, you have time for content, which we've never had in the first patch. Now, a lot of people are saying that, the reason this game is in such a dry spot right now is because of 1.6 being bad, and that's entirely not true. 1.6 is great. It made PvP more balanced, and the time to kill feel more consistent than it's ever felt before. What's happening now is that with all the, the 1.6 time and effort being put into rebalancing PvP. It was essentially a 1.4 for PvP, as they said. It made it so that there was not much new content, right? Like, a lot of the stuff, actually all of the stuff that's in the game now has always been in the game. Even with the, you know, the new revamp to the exotics, those exotic weapons have been in the game forever. The only thing that changed was the last talent. So we had no new gear sets with the, you know, the cut from Seeker, and even in 1.5 we only had one new gear set, and technically, you know, with the whole high-end build, it kind of created more builds. But we didn't get what we got in 1.1 or 1.2, where we got 4 new gear sets and tons of new things to do. We got gear score increases, we got new weapons, we got a bunch of new stuff that we could really grind for and make new builds for. And in 1.6, we didn't get that. We didn't get anything new. We didn't get anything interesting. We didn't get, you know, of course, the addition to the PvP mode, Last Stand, and the new Incursion are both fantastic modes. And you know, it's great that they exist. But when you don't have new content in a looter shooter, people lose interest extremely fast. And that's why I believe very, very strongly that the Year 2 content for this game is going to be fantastic. Now, they have... A lot of people are really upset about there not being like a map expansion and stuff, but if you think about the size of the map and the amount of possibilities that they have in order to make it a lot more fun and enjoyable and replayable, the opportunities there are endless. You know, I've been playing a lot of Destiny lately, and I've noticed that a lot of the reasons why, at least for me, playing through Destiny missions over and over and over again always feel different is because of the modifiers and because of the weekly changes that are made that make it feel different. I know a lot of people probably don't agree with me, but when I play through the Destiny missions, it feels like it's different every time. Same thing with like the Nightfall. Those modifiers make each encounter feel a little bit different. It makes you play different, which is exactly what seasons are going to be adding to this game. There's going to be seasons where, you know, you may have like every week there's going to be modifiers on the certain missions and things like that. They could be endless. There's so many like missions that we don't really get to play often because they only have a hard mode difficulty. For example, Madison Field Hospital, and what are some of the other really good missions? Amherst Apartment. There's a lot of missions that you don't end up playing a lot because of the difficulty not being high enough. There's only, what, 4 or 5 challenge mode missions. With the time that they have now that the game is semi-balanced and feels pretty good, they can put that time into maybe, you know, revamping some of the missions or adding challenging or maybe even legendary modes to those missions, adding modifiers to those missions, adding new weapons, adding new gear sets, adding new interesting ways to customize your character. I mean, like I said, guys, the amount of time that they're going to have now to spend specifically on content is going to make Year 2 very, very good. And guys, the Division is not dead, and it's in a very dry period right now because of all of the updates and patches that had to change in Year 1. Now, arguably, Destiny has been out for 3 years, which I absolutely love, by the way. I've been playing it so much, making videos for it as well, but it still has its flaws after 3 years. Are you telling me that we're only giving the Division 1 year to fix itself and to add content and to make it interesting? Year 1 for Destiny was tragic. I know there's a lot of people and a lot of players out there who really liked Year 1 for the amount of grinding you had to do to get the gear, but if you look at how the storyline was and you look at how unbalanced like PvP got over the years, we're gonna give Destiny so many different chances, and they eventually, after the Taken King, which was the Year 2 content, made extreme improvements to the game, and without the Year 2 that they put out, I would have never been interested in trying Destiny again. I had a friend that kind of convinced me to try Destiny out again, and since there was a new expansion, this was back when they first announced Rise of Iron, I was like, okay, let me try it out. I heard a lot of people talking about how the Taken King was amazing. I didn't hear a single person say that it wasn't great, and when I tried it, it was awesome. It felt like a totally different game than it did in Year 1. So why are we giving up on the division after 1 year when they haven't even proved or shown anything about the year 2 content yet? All they did was give us a few small little announcements saying that what they're going to be working on in the future, and just to let us know that there's more coming. I just think it's a little bit too early to count the division out, and I think we have a really bright future ahead of us. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop the video a like, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.